Hello, 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 my little maniacs! This is your host, the Maniacs Gaming, coming back at you with another video. In today's video, we're going to be previewing the Buccaneers versus Raiders game. But today, it's not just me. We've got a special guest. Say hi, Poncho.
Rah! I'm here.
You
I've
are
crashed your
indeed
party.
here. The game that looked so much better when the season began.
Yeah, facts.
When
Facts. I was really excited in the beginning of the
Well,
year.
you had expectations for your team, and I had expectations for my defense.
No, we both had healthy teams.
And
But
healthy
now look at us.
teams. Now look at us. We'll get into that, obviously.
Of course.
So, obviously, the game details. This game will be played at 1 o'clock on Sunday in Tampa Bay. And the big thing for the Bucs is this is actually their red out game, where they'll be doing their red uniforms, all that fun stuff. And I maybe red end zones. They did it last year for red out, but I don't know if they'll be bringing it back this year. I'm assuming that means, Poncho, you'll be wearing your white unis.
As we should for Florida, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, obviously, it's getting to the point where it's December. It'll be a little bit more cooler. But again, obviously, where the Bucs are wearing the red unis, Raiders will have to wear their white.
Away teams should wear white, yeah.
Yeah, unless you're the Cowboys, then well.
God, the Cowboys make me upset. But
Anyway.
that's another conversation.
So we'll go on to last week's review. So the Buccaneers, they beat the Panthers 26-23 in an overtime game where, I'll be honest, I will 100% be honest, we should have lost to the Panthers. We should have. We got so lucky that they ran the ball again with Chuba Hubbard and fumbled the ball. Shout out Nelly for forcing that fumble. And we also got really lucky that their field goal kicker could not make kicks to save their life and cost them like 13 points the entire game. The offense was really bad at points. They came up clutch at the end, but again, really bad. The defense, however, was good in the first half. Like they were making the Panthers they were stopping the Panthers. They were forcing long field goals, which the Panthers wound up missing. They kept us in the game. Granted, then towards the end of the game, they let up a touchdown and made it so the Bucs had to drive downfield to get a field goal to get overtime. Not a great time. Poncho, would you like to talk about the Raiders?
Alright, so in general, the game shouldn't have been as competitive as it was. However, after that first drive, the Chiefs absolutely just drove down on us and scored. Defense really started to lock in a lot better. Obviously, still giving easy yards to Mahomes, so we're going to talk more about that later. Yeah. However, holding him to like a real, I believe it's an 80 QBR. I got to double check on it, but able to force the incompletions, giving the offense chances to make a big play happen basically afterwards, and keeping us really in this game, which obviously would go back and forth a lot because Daniel Carlson could not hit over 50 yards in that game. We're gonna go more into this later, but that was like the big thing that really did do us in. And then obviously, everyone has seen the memes at the end. Right guard told the center that we were ready, but the QB was not ready. And instead of calling it a legal shift, which it should have been on I believe it was the right guard, they called it a false start.
No, they called it. You thought it should have been a false start, but it wasn't a legal shift. Because a false start would have been dead ball.
Yeah, false start would have been dead ball. That's why no one jumped on it. My bad.
And apparently, why it wasn't a false start was because the clock wasn't running at the time. Because apparently, within 2-minute warnings, false start only applies when the clock's running.
Even though theoretically the side refs called the ball dead. I'm not gonna be too critical of that because obviously I knew everyone's going against the Chiefs. We all know this. But it is what it is.
And let's be honest, the fact you guys held the Chiefs to 19 points, honestly, is pretty not impressive. And obviously, did the refs make the right call? Yes, they did. It was, based on the rules of what it should have been, it was an illegal shift based on the rules. But at the same time, when the refs, genuinely, when one of them called false start, which the second that happened, all the Raiders players were not looking for that football. They stopped.
It's the same situation that happened in when we played the Bengals in the playoffs a couple years ago, where they called the ball dead. No one wanted to make a play on the ball or the player because they were worried about what was going to happen after the whistle.
Exactly. So it was just the whole thing of, like, there's nothing they could have done there. Like,
Yeah.
it happens. The only thing you can do is improve your communication.
Not even that. It's just, where do you go from here, basically? But again, we're going to talk more about that later.
Yeah. So first up, we'll talk about the injuries. So the Buccaneers have a load of injuries, which before we even talk about these injuries, me and Poncho are recording this video on Thursday night. The Packers game and Lions game is currently going on. We're not watching it at the moment because obviously we're doing this. So
Yes.
everything we say about these injuries is pure speculation based on reports that we're hearing from training camp, or well, the camp and whatnot, practice and whatnot, the players themselves, and the injury report. So this is basically all speculation on who we think is playing, who's not playing. So please just keep that in mind. If anything changes, it will be in the comment section. There will be a pinned comment saying if there's any changes to this injury report, probably tomorrow, because I think the final injury report for both teams will come out tomorrow with who's going to be out completely, and then any game time decisions will be on Sunday.
Game time decision, questionable injury reports, like stuff like that, basically.
Yeah, so first, I'm going to read off everybody that is currently injured, and then I'll go back through and say who is expected to play, and then who is saying they are planning to play. So first up, Mike is still dealing with his hammy and a calf injury. Worse is still dealing with a knee injury. Tyke's still dealing with a knee injury. Edwards injured his hammy last game. Britt injured his ankle last game. Bucky had a hip injury that I think was lingering into the game. Baker has an ankle/Achilles injury, which was suffered during the game. Palmer has a hip injury, which was suffered during practice. And then JTS has an ankle injury, which was over the last week, which he developed the game previous. So now, just players who are not expected to play. Mike Edwards has been no-show at practice. He is not expected to play. KJ Britt has not shown to practice. He is also not expected to play. Palmer is expected to play. He did limited practice, and he full practice yesterday. He was not on the injury report until today. JTS has been limited, but is trending towards playing. Baker's 100% playing. He's been a full participant in practice, so he's already come out and said he will play. And then Tyke Smith is also trending towards playing after staying out last week. I think he's been out 3 weeks now. And then Mike, Worth, and Bucky have all said they are planning to play on Sunday, regardless of their participation status. I think most of their participation status is just purely out of abundance of caution for re-injury, especially when it's a hamstring injury, a knee injury, and a hip injury. But again, like Mike's injury, he played the entirety of the game on Sunday through the injury. Worth played the entirety of the game through injury. And then Bucky, I think, only missed overtime due to his injury. So, all in all, like, the only ones that are the big loss are going to be Edwards and Britt as of now. Poncho, any comments before we talk about your injuries?
Just a big one. Like, I saw some, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, because you are the Bucs fan. I did see some, like, tweets, though, saying that Todd or whoever, your special teams coordinator, said that they kept Bucky in as the returner, even with said injury, because he was just the best return man available
that
you guys had.
That is accurate. That is why he was in on the play he got injured. I get why they did it. I get it. But at the same time, Bucky is looking more like RB1. He has outplayed Rashad the entire season. He is on pace for 1,000 yards. He's the first one to get it for Tampa if he keeps the rate he's going, since I think Warwick's done. So it's been a minute. So at the same time, like, I get why he's out there. Obviously, like, you know, we see a lot of teams that put their, like, top-tier guys out there, like the Niners with Stebo and all that when they need a big return. So honestly, I don't hate the fact he's on returns, but again, like, I'd like to see him be phased more and more out of it.
Especially just being more healthy, because a hip pointer is going to suck, especially for, you know, mobility and stuff like that. I think that's the big one that I want to kind of touch on.
Genuinely, I think that return should be between Sean Tucker and Raheem Jarrett.
Which makes sense.
And then if you want Bucky out there for, like, opening kickoffs, like overtime kickoffs, stuff like that, that's fine.
I wouldn't be paired up with one of those guys, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you're going to do kickoffs.
Yeah, put him out there with Sean Tucker or something.
That's what I'm saying.
And then Palmer's our punt returner, so, like, yeah, that's nothing too crazy there.
Keep the punt returner at the punt returner spot. I like having a mix typically with my return men, personally.
Anyway, all right, go ahead and talk about your injuries.
Oh boy, because there was a lot added today, generally, before I could have told you. So obviously, Jacorian Bennett is still going to be on IR. I don't see him coming back anytime in the season. Just let him reload, let him do his thing. Like let him come back on his own terms. He was really good for us. However, like, what can you do now? And then obviously I talked about another corner, Nate Hobbs, who is still not participating. I don't expect him to play, to be completely honest with you. The injury has really the ankle injury really has limited him. Another one, Zamir White, again, don't expect him to play either. The quads, just he hasn't been practicing Wednesday or Thursday, so I don't expect him to be, oh, Friday, I'm suddenly going to start practicing. It's like, no, Zamir, take your days off, bro. You're not helping us. Have I touched on Madison yet?
No.
Okay, limited participant in practice for both days. He might be back, but I don't see him being the running back one, which we'll talk about later. Obviously, I didn't talk about him either. Jordan Meredith, full participant with a shoulder injury, so he'll play. He'll play for sure. And another notable guy, I don't care too much about the third string tight end. A lot happened, so sorry, Death, I didn't tell you this. So Amir Abdullah, Aiden O'Connell, and Jacoby Myers did not practice today.
So actually, I have the injury report pulled up.
Okay.
So Jacoby and Aiden did not participate. Jacoby with an ankle injury, and then AOC is ill.
He's sick, yeah.
Amir did participate today in full.
And okay. Then the Raiders website did get it wrong then because they said he did not practice today. So that is interesting.
This is from Greg, who is a reporter for Tampa, saying that Amir did participate.
Okay.
Granted, that could be wrong. Obviously this is based on what Greg has posted.
Okay. This is going to be another topic of, discussion later on just because of our running back room as is right now. But yeah, Aiden, I'm expecting to still play. Jacoby is really going to be up in the air because he has been dealing with leg injuries this whole season, basically. So we do need him, though, because he is solid for that offense. And then Amir Abdullah, I wouldn't mind it. Again, we'll talk more about that later, but it's going to be a decent blow in the return game and in just the general rushing game. Like, he got some limited snaps in the Chiefs game, but they're still pretty good. But, yeah. Anything you want to point out, Beth? Or
no, I think you covered pretty much everything. Obviously, the main one to watch is going to be AOC's illness.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine.
Do you know what the illness is? Like, is it simple as like just a cold or?
What some calls it? No. Generally, there's not been much reports just saying that he just did not practice today.
It could just be genuinely he just didn't feel well this morning. He just didn't want to risk anything.
Yeah, and then what's some calls it? Desmond obviously took most of those snaps. Yeah. How's that going to affect the team? Who knows?
All right, so we'll go ahead and move on to the offenses as a whole. So we'll go ahead and obviously Buccaneers. So obviously the Bucs offense is the main key factors are going to be Baker, Mike, Rashad, and Bucky, whichever one you want to put ahead of the other. Personally, I'm going to put Bucky ahead, and then Otten. These are going to be the four main things that are going to be the most important things to a Bucs win on Sunday, in my opinion. Baker's going to need to bounce back from his honestly rough game where he was playing through his injury last week. He didn't look too great before his injury either, so he's just going to need to bounce back and just be able to, make the short throws. Mike honestly just needs to take advantage of the secondary of the Raiders. Like, obviously, we'll talk more about that later. But again, Mike just needs to be overall just wide receiver one. We don't have much outside of him, so we're just going to need him to step up. And then Rashad and Bucky just need to keep being the runners that they've been. Bucky being more of the pound the rock down your throat, and Rashad being more of the elusive, I'm going to catch it out of the backfield. And then Otten just being the security blanket as a whole. Anything you'd like to add?
Besides literally Bucky being the saving grace of the offense, and especially in that Panthers game when when Baker was obviously, going through the
Oh yeah.
injuries, I would say it's like you definitely lean on him, especially against our run defense, which we're going to talk about the defenses later, obviously, but that's one of the big factors that I think is going to win you this game against us.
So obviously, I think Bucky won, Offensive Player of the Week past week for the NFC. Robbed of Rookie of the Week by Jaden Daniels because Commanders fans like to just vote him because it's Jaden Daniels, and that's the big thing there. But obviously, I think he'll be getting a lot of looks. I think Mike will obviously get his fair share of looks, but I think a lot of this offense is going to run through Mike and Bucky on Sunday just due to the advantages there between the Raiders secondary and just the Raiders D-line in general. All right, so I'll go ahead and turn the floor over to you so you can talk about the Raiders offense.
Oh yeah. Also, speaking of rookies, Brock Bowers obviously rookie of the month, right? Yeah, rookie
Yeah,
of the month
rookie
for
of the
the
month.
AFC. Yeah, obviously stellar performance with 140. Go ahead.
Real quick. So rookie of the month is not AFC NFC. It's just rookie of the month. It's just
Because
plain
because
rookie.
because a Rams player won it. I thought that's why
Yeah,
a Rams defender.
it's either side. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
rookie of the month in general. Like it's the best rookie out of all of them. They don't do it based on AFC rookie of the month and NFC rookie of the month. They do it based
Thanks
in
for
general.
thanks for the clarification. But yeah, so Brock Bowers obviously in that Chiefs game playing against way better DBs. 140 yards, 10 receptions with 1 touchdown. And then Trey Tucker with 1 reception for 58 and a touchdown. Jacoby 97 yards on 6 receptions. Jacoby is like if he gets 90 yards in every game, like he'll be fine. Like that's just Jacoby Myers in the game. Brock Bowers is obviously like something else entirely, and obviously that's thanks to Aiden O'Connell, 23 for 35, 340 yards on the game, 2 touchdowns. I don't know why the Chiefs decided, okay, we're going to play short. We're going to play short as hell. Okay. They said, we're going to play like super short, let the deep stuff happen. Even though Aiden is our better thrower, better accuracy QB than Minshew ever was. But I think that's the big thing that the Bucs defense is going to have to look out for. Just not letting those big plays happen with Brock over the middle or over the top,
Yeah.
and then Trey Tucker burning a guy,
Yeah.
and then a new one actually. We have a rushing attack now because practice squad player, I think he's been on our squad since like 2019 or something. Sincere McCormick with 12 rushes with 64 yards, averaging 5.3 yards per carry. Obviously sharing snaps with Amir Abdullah, but having him and seeing his shiftiness, being able to make plays out of more zone runs, actually going back and forth between zone and power runs, has really helped open up our rushing attack, which opens the passing attack, that kind of thing. Anything else you want to add, Death?
I think you nailed it. Obviously, we'll talk more about the offensive and defensive matchups here in a second.
Of course. But I'm just saying that like that was the big thing I noticed about Aiden's game because obviously he did great, all things considered. Obviously, mobility and his what's it called? Literally just mobility hurts his ability to extend plays and improvise whenever the play goes wrong. So I think that's what really hurt him, especially, since the Chiefs still have, Jones and all that, like still pressuring him every chance they had.
Yeah. All right. So we'll go ahead and move on to defenses. So the Buccaneers, I've just got some key points here I wanted to talk about. So the first up, corners. We're just gonna need the corners. Just again, like you said, Tucker just having that speed out wide is gonna be a deep threat. You know, um, Jacoby's not a slouch either. He's gonna make plays as well. So we're just gonna need our corners to not be playing 20 yards off the line of scrimmage. Granted, maybe against Trey Tucker, we need to.
Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, just letting the corners just play their game. Let Zion do his Zion things. Let Dean do Dean things. I very much think it should be Dean on Jacoby and Zion on Tucker because Zion is way faster than Dean. But I also do see some safety help over the top with AWJ and whoever the hell we're playing at strong safety at this point. Tyke Smith, hopefully, if he's back. If not, apparently Ryan freaking Neal. I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, Another key point is going to be the linebackers. Obviously, likely no KJ Britt, so it's likely going to rely on Levante to be the main Mike linebacker again, along with J.J. Russell, who's going to get some looks, and then V. Jones, who's probably going to get some looks because he got signed to the active roster when Whitehead went down with his pec injury, and he'll be on IR. So it's going to be one of those guys going to have to step up and be able to try to cover Brock as best as they can. Because obviously Brock is going to be a main part of the Raiders' game plan. We're going to need one of these guys to be able to slow down Brock, which honestly I think they'll all do a better job than frickin' KJ Britt would have done. But I still think Brock's going to make his presence felt. But main part of the Bucs linebacker core is just going to be trying to neutralize him as much as they possibly can. And the next key part is going to be the pass rushers. Obviously, I don't know how good your offensive line is as a whole. How would you rate them, Poncho?
We have some strengths in certain parts of our O-line. However, I worry about JPJ on Vita Vea. I worry about JPJ on Vita Vea, especially. I'm not too worried about Colton Miller. However, the right side is probably our weaker side. I think right guard's a little... I don't know if he's really built to be a right guard. He feels more like a center. And then the right tackle, he's been great at pass protection, but not great at run protection. Yeah. So take that with a grain of salt as you will. But however, your pass rush will overwhelm us. I will say that.
Yeah, obviously a big part of our game. Obviously, a big matchup's going to be Vita Vea versus JPJ. Even Kalijah Cansey versus JPJ on those plays where Vita Vea is not lined up against him. Those two have been an absolute pass rush duo this year. Both of them have 5+ sacks on the year. They're one of only I think 2 or 3 duos this year to do it. I saw the Bucs posted earlier. Both of them are absolutely great. And then even outside of them, Yaya can get some pressure in there. JTS, if he's back, he can get some pressure. Not much, but he'll get something going. And then obviously Logan Hall will do something out there somewhere. Poncho, real quick, because I just saw this. So apparently Brock Bowers is now an 85 overall in Madden.
Whoa. Let's go. Generational tight end.
I just saw that get posted, that the Madden Center Fred of the star rookie tight end is +6 overall in the season, Madden 25 at Raiders. But anyway,
Rookie of the year.
And then obviously, we're going to send Levante on some linebacker blitzes. We'll probably send a corner blitz every once in a while. So I definitely think our pass rush could definitely get to Aiden. I don't know how well Aiden handles the blitz. I don't.
He's fine, but he can't run. That's the thing. So he'll throw through the blitz, but the problem is that he can't run to extend a play. So if you get to him as soon as possible, he's done. He's cooked.
Which obviously Todd loves to throw out those exotic blitzes. He'll throw AWJ on a blitz. He'll throw Dean on a blitz. He'll throw Zion on a blitz. He'll throw Levante on a blitz. There's no telling where that pressure is going to come from, especially when you've got the big men up the middle, Vita Vea and Kalijah, on the field at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you got the game plan pretty well. I was gonna say, on the other side of that flip side too, I was gonna agree. However, the only thing is just rushing attack is gonna be a little bit different. So it's just Bucs just keep an eye for that, because I love Sincere. He is a little undersized because I think he's only 200 pounds at 5'10". But his shiftiness has really made up for that. But obviously, like you said, as long as you can keep a DB nearby or a linebacker nearby that has the speed to keep up with him, you can get him pretty fine.
Oh yeah, in my opinion. I'm assuming whichever one between Levante and whoever else we're gonna start outside of him at linebacker, whether it's Russell or Jones, one of them's gonna be staying more in the middle of the field to kind of keep an eye on the running back. Obviously, Vita Vea is going to be a monster for TFLs, like always. Same with Yaya. So, one of them is going to be able to get to the running back as well.
I agree.
The Bucs have been a little susceptible to, the run. But, again, they've been making the plays where they need to. Obviously, we held Chuba Hubbard last week. I don't even think Brooks did very well against us in the run game. And even the week before that, we kept CMC. No, not CMC. Who the frick did we play before? The Giants. Giants don't count. But even
Yeah, Darren
CMC,
don't
he
count.
wasn't able to get much going. It's like we've been able to keep it well as of late. Again, the big thing that's been ruining us is quarterback runs because we just can't contain a quarterback to save our life. But obviously,
Hmm.
Aiden's not that much of a threat there.
He's not a dual threat.
Anyway, I'll go ahead and hand over the floor to you to talk about the Raiders' defense.
Okay. So obviously, pass rush was able to get home as much as they could. Crosby obviously still playing frustrated, still playing mad. Was able, I think he was able to get a sack on that game. Adam Butler was able to get to Mahomes as much as he could and was definitely disruptor in the game. Adam Butler versus Bucky is going to be very interesting because obviously Adam Butler is very much of a vet and he should be paid more. First of all, he should be paid more. He should be valued more on the Raiders because he has been locking down that middle without obviously the loss of Wilkins. And then we have John Jenkins to help out there too, but he hasn't done much in these games. He's definitely a really good run defender, but it has to be situational. Same thing with Zach Carter, actually. He was able to get a sack. And then practice squad player and 2020 first round pick, Clavon Chason, has made a name for himself on the Raiders with 1.5 sacks. Continue to be a really underrated pickup for us. Obviously, I don't know how the matchups are going to be with Wirfs and Gadecki.
Yeah,
Correct me.
Gadecki.
And Gadecki, because obviously Chason has had a lot of success just using his speed and just straight up just like a up and under move, basically, I've noticed. And then obviously Crosby. Crosby should be interesting for sure. DB room really does worry me because Jack Jones is our only healthy, like, solid corner, and he wasn't even that good against the Chiefs. He was unable to really hold. And obviously, like, I understand that he can't hold veterans like. Why am I blanking on Nuke? Why did I blank on Nuke's name?
I don't know.
DeAndre Hopkins. I'm losing it. Okay, yeah, but obviously DeAndre Hopkins, he struggled with a lot, which makes sense. It's still DeAndre Hopkins, and then we have our fourth round rookie, DeCameron Richardson, still getting outplayed, still looking lost. He's only a rookie, so it makes sense. So I don't trust our corners. Safeties are still interesting, obviously, because what's it called? I love Pal Mao, but he is a run safety. I love the guy, but he is a run safety. And I don't trust any of the other safeties, to be completely honest. Maybe Trayvon makes a play. Like, he'll make a play for sure. He'll try to make a play, but if we can keep him in nickel corner, then I can see him making a play. But that's obviously, like, has to be situational at best. Chiefs have to not expect him to also come off the edge if they don't want to blitz him. Stuff like that. And then in general, I said this earlier, we shot ourselves a lot in the foot, like the Chiefs did too. We both shot each other in the foot a lot of times. So the Chiefs were able to get close. We stopped them bend don't break on the defense, and then another play. We allow a big play deep, not covered. Could have had a hand on it, but Xavier Worthy just is not that guy against Zach Jones apparently. But that's going to be the big thing is that I think we can bend on defense, but the breaking is what's really going to kill us. If you break the defense, I think that's what's really going to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So,
All right.
shall I
Anything
make?
you want to add?
So obviously, I think the biggest matchups for obviously your team is going to be
Mm-hmm.
where you put Crosby, because no matter where you put him, it's going to be a rough.
Yeah, no, because everyone else has not really made plays. Like, I love Robert Spillane and Devine, but they have been really down this year, to be completely honest with you. So I don't trust them to really help out with the run. And that's why I'm, like, worried about playing against Bucky, because it's him versus Adam Butler, and you have Graham Barton to block ahead for him, which he's a big boy. So it's going to be hard.
Also, you have to watch out for those plays where the Bucs have been shown this year they're not afraid to put both running backs on the field.
Exactly. So it's more confusion for us to really handle. And I don't think we have the the big guys to
Not to
stop him.
not to mention we've also been rolling out 13 personnel. So we've been getting, all the tight ends on the field. We've been getting Robert Hazy on the field to block. Like, we've
Hmm.
been putting a lot of blockers out there, especially on the goal line.
Which we have the pass rushers, like when they're passing, but I don't see us stopping the run. That's the big issue. That's why when I told you about like, oh well, I'm not too worried about Mike. I'm more worried about Bucky. It's not disrespect to Mike. I'm worried that they're just gonna shove Bucky down our throats, basically.
And obviously, another big thing is going to be just the play action, because the Bucs do utilize play action. And obviously,
Hmm.
when you have two running backs that are both good threats in not only the run game but the pass game as well, it's
Hmm.
just a double-edged sword.
The only benefit we have is that Crosby is really good at smelling the play action.
Yeah,
That's the only benefit we're gonna have, but he's the only one I think that can really
but
smell it, though.
and then obviously you're still going to have the issue of Crosby. Like, no matter which one he's lined up on between Wirfs and Gadecki, he's gonna win matchups. He's gonna lose a lot of matchups too, just because of how good the Bucs tackles have been this year.
I'm not. It's not about how good. It's about how tired he gets. Because
Yeah,
remember, our defense has been on the field for the majority of the time. Still, because either we'll have a big play on offense or quick threes and
yeah.
outs.
Now, if I had to guess, I think how the majority of your defense is gonna line up is gonna be Jack Jones on Mike
It has to be. There's
with
no other option.
probably a safety over top to help,
Have a Trayvon over him.
and
Either you,
then
you put Trayvon or you put Paulo Mal because he has the size.
yeah,
He has size closeness.
and then probably Crosby on Gadecki most of the game.
You keep him there. You feel him out. Because the thing is, I've noticed with Crosby is that like he really does feel out like how the tackles really do
Maybe you try
develop.
kicking Crosby in a little bit to try to go against one of the guards, I think he'll have better luck. But again, obviously, like if we see like Crosby's more kicked inside, we're gonna put because both Bucky and Rashad have been decent with picking up the blitzes.
Yeah. But I think the big thing though, I think we keep him outside. Tyree has been great, honestly, for the short amount of time that he's actually started to look really good. So if you want to put, I think if we put Tyree inside to help out with that guard spot, he
Yeah,
can get to the passer, but I don't know if he can stop the run.
yeah. The biggest thing going for the Bucs right now is we have like one of the lowest QB pressures from the O line itself. Like
Yeah,
I think last week it was two on Bredesen, one on uh, both Barton and Mock, and then one on Rashad, which is when Rashad had to do a double team, and he just was not going to win that matchup. Let's be real.
this one like this. What's it called? The Panthers game was like your worst game on giving up QB sacks and pressures. I
Yeah,
don't think you're going to get any worse from that, especially watching film.
and even then
To be
we
honest,
only had one sack, I believe, or
exactly. I'm pretty sure it was only one sack as well.
one or two. It wasn't many. I know Clowney got home once because Baker just didn't throw it away,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is what led to Baker getting injured.
Interesting.
I think I'm not entirely sure on that. But anyway, anything else you'd like to add before we move on to the next topic?
No, I think we did good. I think we did good there.
All right. So obviously the next part, obviously for the Bucs, here we'll have special teams. Woo! Special teams, special
New
plays.
segment.
So obviously for the Bucs, one of the biggest things for them is just going to be obviously Chase McLaughlin. I'm not worried about him. Like he's been great all year. Obviously he missed a kick in the game on Sunday, but again, like it was a 50+ yarder going to the win. Like it was just not going to be a great matchup for him there. But again, he made every other kick we asked of him. He made the game winner. So again, I'm not too worried about him. What I am a little worried about is going to be the fact that we have a new starting punter who is going to be, I believe, responsible for kickoffs, holding, all that fun stuff, and the punting. And Jack Brownen, yeah, who obviously he's been with us for like I think 6 or 7 weeks now. So obviously he's had work with McLaughlin, he's had work with the Deckers, the lawn snapper. So he's had the work to get it. Obviously, I don't think he can be worse than Gill at this point, considering Gill had a punt that went 22 yards last week. So honestly, as long as he doesn't have one of those, and also doesn't have a kick that went short, I think he'll be fine. Like he cannot possibly be worse. I hope. Honestly, that's really all I got on special teams. Obviously, a big thing is obviously we got to be able to, be able to get some decent returns. hopefully not injure a key running back this time. Maybe, perhaps. But that's really all I got there. Poncho, anything for you?
No, I agree. Chase, don't worry about him. Do not worry about him at all. He'll be fine. And then, obviously, returns and all that. Like we mentioned earlier, keep Bucky good. Keep Bucky healthy. That's the big thing.
All right, so go ahead and you can go ahead and talk about your side.
Okay, obviously, yeah, I talked about this in the earlier segment, in the first segment. Daniel Carlson obviously went 1 for 4 with only hitting a 27-yarder. Again, weather probably definitely impacted that game. I worry about Daniel's confidence though, because he does have those issues where if he goes on a streak like that, he'll really start to like really affect him. Because I remember a couple of years back, obviously with one of our situations that happened, we played the Giants, and Carlson missed I think it was an easy 30-yarder at the time. It was like a chip shot basically for him, but he missed that. So it's making sure he has that confidence to just keep going, because he's our guy. Like he's gonna stay our guy, but keep the chemistry going with the older special teams. But also, it's rough. It's like I'm gonna just say it's like it's rough right now. I'm hoping the winds and all that don't affect too much in Florida.
And
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't know.
I mean, the Bucs do have, I think, one of the highest missed kick percentages in the NFL right now for opponents.
So not great, basically.
Not going great for you.
I mean, it's more just like the weather that really affected him, but it's just having the confidence to just try to kick through it.
Obviously, him
That's the
just
big thing for him.
bouncing back would be a big thing for him.
That's the big one. And then also, obviously, if you watch like any highlights of the game, phenomenal returns from everybody. Amir, Dylan, and DJ. I think it was Amir that got up to the 50. It was either him or Dylan, but just great big plays from them. Obviously, that makes me really hopeful for future returns that they kick off to. Because you guys try to go for the. I think every kicker goes for the for the touchbacks.
We've done a little bit of touchbacks. We have also made teams return them too.
I think if you guys do that, it's gonna be a big one, and then it's just gonna be the rest of the time. It's gonna be touchbacks, which makes sense. It's like after giving up 50 yards, it's like okay, we're gonna just kick it through. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, Tampa. Just to quickly touch on this, Tampa special teams has been a hit and miss unit. They've had plays where they'll make really good plays on special teams. I.e., look at the Niners game where we forced one of the Niners players into their own man to get get him to knock the punt free. Like we've made good plays. We've gotten key misses from field goals and stuff. So obviously, it's a big part of our game is just trying to get as many turnovers on special teams even as we can.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, that's all I got. You got anything?
No, let's keep going.
All right, so obviously question marks. So for the Bucs, I've got simple wide receivers, just the pass rush in general, and then linebacker coverage. So obviously wide receivers outside of Mike. Mike is not included in this because Mike is Mike. Outside of Mike, it's just there. Like McMillan obviously can make a play on occasion. Trey Palmer can make a play on occasion. Sterling Shepard is wide receiver 2 now, apparently. But like we don't have anyone that can step up. Like obviously the offense hurt and missing Godwin. It's a big thing is that we're missing Godwin. Obviously, when Godwin and Mike both were hurt at the same time, both Cade and Bucky and Rashad stepped up, but a wide receiver did not step up, which is a big issue that we're still experiencing because when Mike's covered, we don't have someone to step up and make a play at the wide receiver 2 spot. We just don't have that, and it's been a big issue. Shep was great at wide receiver 3. Palmer was good at wide receiver 3. McMillan's good at wide receiver 3. None of them are just good enough to be that wide receiver 2 outside of Mike. Like, Mike and Godwin were a great duo. Hopefully we're going to see them again. Like, just not having Godwin's really hurting the team, obviously. And then pass rush, we just need to get home and just be able to get home and just slam down on the quarterback, basically tell him, nah, bro. Sit your butt down. Just what we need to do. And linebacker coverage, again, Brock Bowers exists. he is going to hurt my team a lot if we don't cover him properly. I think that's all I really need to say on that. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
I do.
don't let Brock hurt me. He's so going to put up 125 yards, 3 touchdowns on me.
150, take it or leave it.
152 touchdowns probably, honestly, is an
No. 151 touchdown because we're not going to use him that much.
You're right. 90% of those yards comes on the first drive.
Exactly.
All right, and then I'll go ahead and turn you over to the Raiders.
Okay. So offense. So I'm specifically in my notes. I literally said offensive developments. Cause I have my own thing going basically.
Yeah.
Will Scott Turner still prove to be basically way better than anticipated? Because obviously he had some OC experience in other places. Obviously Commanders, I think it was 2018, 2019, something like that. But not much. But he's done fine, even with his dad too. Like they've been a lot better than Luke Getsy, even though I think I think I could do better than Luke Getsy.
I could do better than Luke.
I think anybody can, but obviously AOC is, I said before, AOC is the better passer. Not compared to Baker, but he's just the better passer of this team.
Yeah.
Brock Bowers, unstoppable as all hell. And then the 1-2 combo, obviously we don't know about Amir, but Sincere, I'm really excited to see him try to develop plays so that we can really try to attack both the air and the ground because it feels like we really need both. Obviously, I love Aiden airing it out and all that for over 300 yards, but we also need to establish a ground game, control the clock, little things like that really made the Raiders the Raiders. And then you talk about defense too, right?
I did talk about my defense, just the pass rushing linebackers.
Yeah, same thing here. The pass rush already has the hands full. Obviously, we talked about Wirfs, Barnes, and Gadecki. Those are the main guys I'm really worried about. However, the biggest issue is going to be guarding Mike Evans because we don't have anybody that can guard him in strength or in coverage. I think he can make anybody look stupid, to be completely honest with you. And then, like I just keep saying, along with linebackers just being lackluster this year, tackling issues make me worry about K-Dot and Bucky Irving. Even Rashad White can still make a play if you put him in. I feel like that's going to be a big issue on our linebackers, just trying to keep up and all that. And overall, it's just, can they build off of the improved offense and defensive ability just to step up in general? Because defense stepped up in big ways against the Chiefs to give the offense a chance, but offense kept giving it away, or they'll get the big play, yeah, but it was not going to be enough because obviously we had the issue with Dan Carlson. And obviously we're at the point now with this team where we're not making playoffs. So this is AP trying to keep his job. This is Aiden O'Connell trying to still stay QB1. Jacoby's still trying to get a payday, honestly. The defense, a lot of it is kind of going away in the offseason. I think Nate Hobbs is on the last year. Obviously can't play. Robert Spillane, last year. Just big guys like that, I think they're just playing for pride and to play to keep their jobs. I think that's going to be the big thing for them.
I 100% agree with all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a big issue is going to be just your defense being able to slow down the Bucs offense early in the game to let your offense try to make some scores happen.
And then the offense has to capitalize off that.
Yeah, your offense just being able to capitalize, obviously. Because, again, obviously, Baker's been prone to make some mistakes. So, obviously, if your defense gets one of those mistakes and gets it their way, can your offense capitalize is going to be a big question.
That's the very big question, yeah.
And then obviously your defense just needs to not overwork themselves and tire themselves out. Because obviously Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Bucky and Rashad versus the tired Raiders defense is going to be a long, long day for you guys.
Especially with the experience that we have with, obviously, the DB's injuries that obviously I talked about earlier. Like, there's no vet presence to be like, hey, guys, like, lock in. We got this. It's some kid from, I believe it's not Ole Miss. It's somewhere. It's some Midwestern college. And he's just like, hey, I'm fast, but I can't cover.
All right. Shall we move on?
East.
All right, so next up we got the keys to this game, just how each team's going to be able to try to get a win. So for the Buccaneers, I've got it simple. Feed Mike, feed Bucky and Rashad. Don't let Brock cook. Do I need to say more, or is that just kind of perfectly clear?
That's clear. That's clear.
Poncho, take it over.
Yeah, same. Honestly, similar situation. Offense, can it continue to improve with Scott Turner? That's the big guy that I'm still rooting for. I'm rooting for Scott Turner to keep a job. I don't think AP is going to keep it, but if we have to keep all of them together for this year, I want Scott Turner to try to succeed and show that, like, hey, if we bring in a new QB, new like more pieces, that kind of thing, I can be the guy to call the offense. And that obviously comes in with the running back duo with Sincere, maybe Abdullah, maybe Madison. We're gonna see obviously on Sunday. I literally put on my notes Brock Bowers quotations him.
Yep, that accurate.
We gotta play through Brock, which I'm glad we're doing now, especially with Scott Turner. He's gonna be big for us. He's gonna be big for us. And I was thinking, like, anticipating, it's like, okay, what is Brock can go short, but then he has to go against Levante. That's gonna be a tough matchup. If he tries to go deep, if it's not against AWJ, he'll be fine. But if he's against AWJ, I think AWJ has a great chance to really make a play on him.
Obviously,
And then
in that situation, you're going to have the height advantage.
and wait, but also AWJ has played against bigger players than him.
Kyle
like he'll
Pitts.
know what to do. Exactly, he'll know what to do. He'll know what to do.
Obviously,
in my opinion.
And obviously, Brock being a rookie, he's gonna make mistakes. So obviously, if AWJ gets a chance to get that peanut punch on Brock, he's gonna take it.
Exactly.
And,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like he has the experience to limit Brock.
And I don't know how good Brock is at protecting the football. Like, I don't watch a whole lot of Raiders games, but AWJ has that peanut punch on lock. So like, if Brock's not expecting it, that ball's coming out. Like, I don't know how well Brock's been doing this year with like protecting the football and whatnot and preventing that stuff from happening.
It's more like he's okay, so I can definitely see it being a 50-50 thing. But he has been able to hold on pretty good.
But obviously, a big part of the game is going to be just obviously for your Raiders, obviously just playing through Brock, getting the stops on defense where they can.
And then also just in general,
offense.
And then also just trying to get things to work on both sides on the offense in general, because like we need the run to work so we can set up more passing plays.
Yeah.
And we can't expect Aiden to be making all those passes and then getting blitzed, trying to roll out because he cannot roll out. And then in general, I said defense, and the last one is just our defense really needs to step up against them, because the Bucs offense is the scariest part to me. That's like, if I'm the Raiders, like if I'm the coaches, my defense, I'm scared of the Bucs offense. I'll say it that.
As a lot of people are, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Because the Bucs offense is what's keeping them in the games right now. Obviously, last week that wasn't the case. It was the defense keeping them in the games. But again, the offense, when they needed to, they stepped up and they made the plays.
Yeah, that's just the big thing. Like, if you didn't have Baker, guess what? The run game took over. I think a couple weeks ago it was just all the run game, and then it's like, oh, well, Baker's still playing safe. You know what I mean?
You know, Baker's making the plays he needs to. Obviously, you know, Mike's getting healthy, so we're trying to limit how much we're going to him. Obviously, as Mike gets healthier, I think this will be a game where Mike's going to be pushing 100 yards again, if not more.
He has to hit 95 plus, right? Every game from now on.
We'll talk about that in a moment.
Okay. But I'm good. I'm good though, so we can keep going.
So players to watch, obviously for the Bucs, I got simple: Mike, Bucky, and just kept it to the offense because again, Mike, as you were saying, needs about I think it's 95.8 to hit 1K because he is in danger of losing it for the first time. So obviously, like that's a number like both him and Baker have already commented saying they know what they need to do. But obviously, both of them are more focused on winning football games. So, like, if they can get it, they get it. Obviously, like, the goal for Mike's obviously going to be trying to get as much over 95 as they can. Obviously, the better.
Make every game easier afterwards.
Make the games easier going forward.
And
then Bucky, obviously, a lot of the offense is probably going to run through Bucky. You know, screen passes, runs, because he's just been so electric. He apparently has like the 5th most rushes of like 15 plus yards this year, apparently. So that's
his total scrimmage yards is really good for a
yeah,
rookie
he's been
too.
so good for us. And obviously, Otten just being security blanket on those situations where we need short yardage, just get it to him.
Hmm.
Anything else you'd like to say about the Bucs for players to watch?
No, you got like we're at this point we're all like it's all coming together basically. How we
Obviously,
think the game's
I'll
gonna
just put
go.
the blanket player to watch. Just the defensive line for Tampa. Just because obviously they're going to try to be getting pressure in there, so obviously defensive line as a whole is going to be just a big player to watch for Tampa.
Hmm.
Go ahead and talk about your lovely Raiders.
Obviously, I touched about it a little bit sooner. Aiden basically is playing for a job at this point. Everyone knew that Aiden was going to be the better QB moving forward, but Luke Getzey wanted Minshew, and I think it was also Tom Telesco, our GM, also wanted Minshew to start, which I understood to a point because obviously Minshew's a better runner. We didn't have the O line to really support Aiden for Aiden to make big plays. But now that Aiden's finally in, now that the O line's a little bit more refined, he's going to be a big guy to watch because he's going to want the yards. He's going to want the touchdowns. He's going to want to show why the Raiders can't move on from him, like why he's the QB. Ruin the tank. Sorry, Aiden. I love you though. And then obviously Brock Bowers, dude is like just in general. Brock Bowers is on his Rookie of the Year track. Obviously, I don't think he's going to win it. I think it might be Bo Nix. But I think just showing more production. Obviously, Scott is like, oh, we should use our best player, and finally using him. That's really showing out. And then another one I did was just Raiders D line because I think the defense. I don't trust the secondary. I trust our D line. I trust our D line way more to try to make a play than the secondary. I don't think we can get picks. I don't think we can get pass deflections. But if we can get pressure, and if Baker is still injured, I think we can win that game because of that.
Yeah.
That's going to be the big key, though. That's going to be the big what if, in my opinion.
Just to comment here, obviously, Brock's gonna have like a game of his own. Like obviously, that's gonna be a big matchup to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Sincere, honestly, just for the fact that it is a rookie running back, which the Bucs do tend to struggle with, i.e., Jonathan Brooks last week.
Well, that's why I'm not too worried. Like, I wouldn't be too worried as the Bucs defense because like I said, smaller guy. Just he's good. Like he's good. Like but he's still learning though. Like he's still very much a zone runner. He's not a power runner. He's not going to destroy you in the inside. He's going to take advantage of his speed to try to
Obviously,
kill you.
I think one of the bigger things is just going to be the Lion, the D line trying to just get the wins against the Bucs O line and just trying to get to Baker, trying to get to the running back, and just stopping the play at the line or behind the line.
That's what I'm thinking. Also, we might have to go back to safety blitzes because that's what I think Moore can really excel at for us. I don't trust the linebacker blitzes.
And
Moore has been having the speed to also contain the QB, so I think he should be the one blitzing.
yeah, that's going to be a sneaky part, obviously, for the Bucs offense. It's just Baker's legs. If he's healed and he's doing okay, just watch
That's
out
the
for
big
him
one, yeah.
being on the run because he's done it. Like like he put his legs in the line last week, even after his injury, where he ran for a critical first down in I think it was overtime.
And he does run power through basically everybody. So it's
Oh
just
yeah.
if we have to fear that, that's what's going to make it really hard on the D line.
I think that's good. We're good. Okay, so next, I've got a both segment where I just took one thing from each side just to talk about in general. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
some of the bigger matchups. So obviously, Levante versus Brock, or just whoever the Bucs have at linebacker to put on Brock, is going to be a big part of this game about which side's going to wind up coming out on top, is which one's going to win the matchup.
Who's going to shut down Brock, or if Brock's going to just go off, basically.
Yeah, and then obviously the second one, just Mike Evans, obviously for that versus the Raiders secondary,
Mm-hmm.
just in general, because obviously Mike is sitting at only 521 yards this year, but he does have 7 touchdowns. So like Mike's been a force to reckon with, especially facing a secondary that is a little bit on the weaker side outside of Jack Jones, and even that could be still a mismatch.
Very banged up. Very banged up.
So obviously, like Mike's going to be looking at trying to get as many yards as he can. Obviously, the goal is 95.8. Obviously, more than that would be great. But again, the goal is 95.8. Just trying to get Mike much as we can get going and just being able to get him fed. especially on a secondary that's a little bit weaker. We saw last week Mike was able to feast against Carolina's secondary. Even had a good play against J.C. Horn in the end zone for a touchdown. So just being able to get the ball to Mike and just making sure like we can get him his stats and just take advantage of the weaker secondary.
It's taking advantage of it more than anything because I think you guys played Mike and did more with Mike because it was the division rival, which is like it's gonna get you guys more amped up and all that. This is just Bucs. What was it? 6 wins versus the 2-win Raiders.
Yeah. Obviously, right now, like the Bucs are 6-6, so we got 12 games. This is our 13th game. So even just to kind of put this simply, let's say Mike only gets 100 yards. So then that would put him 379 away from 1,000 with 4 games to go. That drops the yardage per game that he'll need to 94.7. So again,
Yeah,
like
and then you have
100
another
yards.
divisional one too, right?
We do
You
have
another
we have
divisional
both
game.
the Saints, who their secondary's gotten weaker with no Lattimore, and then we have the Panthers up on the schedule too.
Yeah, because I feel like definitely if he's gonna hit those numbers, it's good like big numbers. It's gonna be
Again,
against them.
Yeah.
However, I feel like in that case too, taking advantage of the weaker secondary, you're gonna let everyone else also cook.
Yeah,
because that's gonna be the big thing.
At this point, it's just trying to get these games where Mike's gonna be matched up against secondary that's not the greatest, getting him as many yards as we can, just to help lower down that number of that he'll need.
Yeah, I agree.
Like for instance, just because like this is a big one people are talking about is like just getting Mike to like 120, which would put him at 641. So that would drop it to 359 he would need, and then by 4 games, that's just under 90 yards a game he would need for the rest of the season, which is a lot more doable. Like just
manageable.
The more yards he can get over 100, the better it is for him in the long run. If obviously 1,000 yards is his goal. Obviously, it always has been his goal. Just trying to be able to get him there.
Especially to tie with Rice. I think that's the big thing, is just be able to tie with Rice.
Yeah. And obviously just try to stay healthy, and try to make stuff happen. Because I know a lot of people are talking about 150 because that would put him to just needing about 80 yards a game, which is a lot more doable. But again, it's just we have to keep him healthy. Obviously, we can put him out there, he can get 150 yards, but then he get injured on 150 and then hurt himself, and then he misses time. He misses plays where he can't be out there. So again, at this point, we just need to keep him healthy. Like, as much as I love Mike and I want the 1,000-yard streak to continue, we have to prioritize his health, especially where playoffs are on the line.
Yeah, because you got, like I say in your comments all the time. By the way, check out my comments. What's it called? What was I gonna say?
Probably something.
That every game is gonna matter right now.
Oh yeah.
Because you're basically going band for band against the Falcons. Falcons are on a downturn. You guys are on an upturn.
Genuinely, we're at the point where I think if we win 2 more and the Falcons lose 2 more, we basically set up for we control our destiny.
Yes.
Actually,
I fully agree with that.
Well, at this point, we're at the point where we win 1 game and the Falcons lose 1. We control our destiny because they can't catch us if we win out.
Yeah, but
obviously the Falcons losing more is going to be a lot more helpful to us.
Yeah.
So, but again, like I said at the beginning of the season, I very much thought the division title would come down to the end of the season. Very much, it's coming down to the end of the season, and it's looking more and more likely every week. I think right now, probably that Panthers game, Week 17, is going to be the one where we're going to see one of the two come out on top.
It's going to be a big one. It's going to be a big one for sure.
Or very much.
But that's the thing that I always talk about. That's the big thing that I always talk about. Is just like making sure you can go band for band against the Falcons, because if the Falcons win, you have to win, and if you win, it's vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Obviously, and of course, it could come down to Week 18 versus the Saints, where the Bucs need to win and they're in. They win the NFC South, and Saints basically have to decide: do we want the Bucs controlling the division, or do we want the Falcons controlling the division? It could happen. Obviously,
I don't know, man. I think they're more worried about the draft. I think they're more worried about the draft, to be honest.
But also at the same time, I think if it comes down to that, between them having to pick to let the Bucs win or let the Falcons take the division, the Saints hate the Falcons. They do. So I definitely could see that happening. Obviously, Obviously, no team will admit that, but I could see it happening. But anyway, I think that's all we really got.
I agree.
So obviously, I will have no other content. I don't know when this video will come out. Probably Saturday, if I had to guess. So I have time just to go through and make sure everything looks good. But, so content, I will be streaming Bucs versus Raiders Sunday around 1 o'clock, which, if everything goes to plan, a certain special guest will be joining me.
Yeah, Nevitz.
Yeah. We're going to have stupid sports, but for Bucs Raiders, clearly.
Clearly, we have to. Clearly.
Also, Jesus Christ. All right, we're going to end this video because I just noticed that's over an hour.
Wait, what?
Yep. So anyway, Poncho, say goodbye.
Yeah, bye, guys. I appreciate you having me out here, Maniac. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for me today. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on that noti bell on the road to 2,000 subscribers. Trying to hit that by the end of May. Trying to hit 1,600 by the end of the next month. Let's get it, fam. And as always, I will see you guys later. Stay crazy, fam.